Yo America, picture this: a shy girl humiliated by bullies who ripped her shirt after a brutal prom rejection unleashes a roundhouse kick that silences the entire gym. This story is packed with heart betrayal and twists that'll leave you speechless. Yeah. If you love your mom and dad, smash that subscribe button to show some love for our girl and join the crew. Let's devento. This epic tale, Leela Grayson had always been a ghost in the halls of Westbridge High, a small-town school nestled in the rolling hills of Ohio. At 17, she was a senior with auburn hair that fell in soft waves over her shoulders, always tucked behind her ears to avoid drawing attention. Her hazel eyes, flecked with gold, were usually affixed on the floor or buried in the pages of a fantasy novel. Leela's backpack was a fortress stuffed with sketchbooks, where she poured her imagination into intricate drawings of dragons, warriors, and far-off worlds where she could be anyone but herself, as was invisible, and she preferred it that way. In a town where popularity was a currency traded in loud laughs and confident strides, Leela had none to spend. She was content to drift through her final year, counting down the days until graduation would set her free, but fate, it seemed, had other plans. It all began with a note slipped into her locker during third period on a crisp April morning. The folded paper was assuming with Leela scrawled in blue ink across the front. Her heart stuttered as she unfolded it, her fingers trembling. Words inside made her breath catch. Will you go to prom with me? Ethan Calithan was Westbridge High's golden boy, quarterback with a megawatt smile and eyes that could charm anyone. He was kind of guy who made girls blush, and guys want to be his friend. Leela had seen him in the halls, always flanked by his crew, including his girlfriend Kay Summers, the head cheerleader, whose laugh cut like glass. This note couldn't be real, had to be a mistake, or worse, a setup asterisk. Leela clutched the note to her palms, sweaty, and spent the rest off day in a fog. Her mind raced as she sat in biology, her pencil hovering over her notebook. Ethan had smiled at Herons, hadn't he, last month when she'd answered a question about mitosis. He'd glanced her way, his lips quirking up. Maybe he'd noticed her doodles in the margins of her notes. Her quick answers when the teacher called on her by lunch convinced herself the note might be genuine. She sat alone in the cafeteria, her tray of lukewarm pizza touched, and wrote a reply in her careful handwriting. I'm flattered, but I can't. I'm sorry. Prom wasn't her world. Thought of crowds, glittery dresses, and pulsing music made her skin crawl, but saying no to Ethan Cole felt like defying gravity itself. She slipped the note into his locker after fifth period, her heart pounding, and hurried away before anyone could cease to risk. The fallout came faster than she had expected. By sixth period, whispers trailed her like shadows. Girls in the hallway shot her sidelong glances, their jiggles sharp and knowing, boys smirking, nudging each other as she passed. Leela kept her head down, her backpack straps digging into her shoulders, but the air felt charged like a storm about to break. Storm hit in the girls' bathroom after school. Kay and her clique, Brittany, Tara, and Jade, were waiting. Fair reflections in the chipped mirrors like a pack of wolves. Kay stepped forward, her blonde ponytail swinging, her eyes glinting with venom. You think you're too good for Ethan? She spat, her voice low and dangerous. Leela's mouth went dry. No, I just don't do prom. She stammered, backing toward the wall. Brittany smirked, twirling a strand of Hercules hair. Oh, you'll wish you said yes, bookworder. Laughed, her braces flashing, and Jade snapped a photo with her phone. The flash blinding, the left Ella there, her knees shaking. Crumpled note still in her fist. She thought that was the worst of it. She was wrong. Asterisk. The next day, gym class became a battlefield. Westbridge High Skim was a cavernous space, all squeaky flares and harsh fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead. The class was practicing a sport Leela loathed for its chows and attention. She hung back, as always, hoping to blend into the adults, but Kay had other plans. As Leela reached out for a stray ball near the net, Kai accidentally bumped her shoulder slamming into Leila's with deliberate force. The impact sent Leela stumbling, her sneakers squeaking on the polished floor before she could recover. Tara grabbed the hem of Leela's oversized shirt, the one she wore to hide her frame, with a vicious yank. The fabric tore a jagged rip exposing Leela's plain beige bra and the flush of humiliation sipping up her chest. The gym erupted in laughter. Boys hooted, their voice echoing off the walls. Girls whispered, their phones already out recording theme. Ethan stood by the bleachers, his fists unreadable, hands stuffed in his pockets. Leela froze, clutching the shredded shirt to her chest, her vision blurred with tears. Her ears ringing with the crowd's mockery. She wanted to disappear, to melt into Pfeffler, and never resurface, but beneath shame something else stirred. A spark buried long ago, a flicker of defiance she hadn't felt in years. Kay stepped closer, her smirk cruel. What's wrong, bookworm? Going to cry? That's when it happened. Edbody moved before. Her mind caught up, her right leg snapped up in a perfect arc, a roundhouse kick that caught Kay square in the shoulder. The force sent that gear let her stumbling back, her arms flailing until she crashed into a stack of gym mats with a thud. The gym went silent. Jaws dropped, phone still cording, even the volleyball stopped bouncing, rolling to a halt in the corner. Leia's breath hitched. She hadn't meant to do that, or had she? A theme of was muscle memory, drilled into her years ago in a dusty dojo on the edge of town. She was 10. Her father had enrolled her in Taekwondo, hoping to channel her boundless energy. Back then, Leia had been a firecracker, all scraped knees and fierce dreams, practicing kicks until her legs ached. She'd love the rhythm of Feidoyo, the snap of her uniform, the quiet focus of each form when her family hit third times. Her dad's factory job cuthors, her mom picking up extra shifts at diner. Taekwondo became a luxury they couldn't afford. Leia quit at 13, too shy to ask for help, too quiet to fight for herself. She'd packed away her uniform and her dreams, letting the spark fade until now. Coach Daniels blew his whistle, his face red as he stormed over Grayson fists. Now Leela Didarg. She grabbed her backpack, still clutching her torn shirt, and walked out, their head high. For the first time in years, the gym buzzed behind her, students whispering, phones pinging with notifications. Then came the first twist. FN found her at the library after school, his usual swagger replaced by a nervous fidget. He stood by her table, rubbing the back of his neck. Leia, I'm sorry, he said, his voice low. I didn't know Kay would go that far. Leila's eyes narrowed, her pencil pausing over her sketch. You wrote the note. Ethan shifted, his gaze dropping to the floor. Yeah, but it wasn't my idea, Kay dared Mito. She thought it'd be funny. The word shit like a punch. The note, the flutter of hope it had sparked, was a prank, a cruel step to humiliate her. For Kale Samusenlay's spark flared into anger, but she hadn't kicked this time. She closed her sketchbook, stood, and walked away. Her silence, louder than any words to school, didn't suspend her. Video evidence and witness statements confirmed Kale's provocation, and Leia received a warning instead. Kay, however, got a 3-day suspension for bullying, which only fueled her. 4 whispers followed Ella in the halls, but no, they were different, less cruel, more a curious classroom who'd never spoken to her. Buffer nodded in passing. A freshman girl slipped a note into her locker. You're a badass, thank you. Leia tucked it into her sketchbook, her chest tight with something new. Pride. The second twist came a week later. Leia's old Taekwondo coach, Mr. Han, saw the viral video and tracked her down through the school. It was older now, his hair grayer, but his voice still carried the same Maquid authority. She remembered he ran a dojo in Columbus, an hour's drive away, and he wanted Leila to train again. Full scholarship. You've got a gift. Heddled her over the phone. Don't waste it. Leela hesitated. The gym incident had cracked her shell, but stepping back into the world felt like standing on a cliff's edge. She'd spent years hiding, building walls to keep herself safe. Could she really do this? Her parents saw the spark in her eyes and wouldn't let her say no. Her dad, a burly man with calloused hands, sat her down at the kitchen table. You're not that shy girl anymore, he said, his voice rough with emotion. You've got fire in you, Leia, always have. Her mom, exhausted from a double shift, squeezed her hand. Well, make it work, you deserve this. Leia nodded, her throat tight, and called Mr. Han back. She was in training gain. Was like waking up. The Columbus dojo was bigger than the old one, with polished wooden floors and mirrors lining the walls, pushing her through drills until her muscles Screamed she practiced to roundhouse kick her form sharper with each session, her confidence growing. She wasn't just fighting for herself now, she was fighting for the girl she'd been the one who hid in the shadows, too afraid to stand. Asterisk at the dojo, Leela met Mia, a junior, with a quick laugh and a mean jab. Mia was everything Leia wasn't, bold, outspoken, with a knack for making friends. She saw Leela's quiet strength and latched on, dragging her into conversations and sparring matches. "You're a beast, Grayson," Mia said after Leia landed a perfect kick during practice. "Own it." For the first time, Leia had a friend, someone who saw her not as the shy girl, but as a fighter. Maya pushed her to compete, and by spring, Leia signed up for a regional Taekwondo tournament in Dayton. The thought of competing terrified her, but it also thrilled her. She wasn't invisible anymore. Back at school, Kale's clique kept their distance, but the tension lingered. Kale's suspension hadn't deepened her grudge, and she spread rumors Leila was violent, unstable, a freak. Some believed her, but others didn't. The video had changed Leia's image. Students started approaching her asking about Taekwondo, complimenting her sketches when they caught glimpses in class. Even Ethan tried to talk to her again, cornering her in the hallway. "I messed up. Okay, didn't mean for it to go this far." Leia looked at him, his perfect face no longer dazzling. "You chose to play along," she said, her voice steady. "Live with it." She walked away, leaving him staring after her. Prom Camion went. Leia didn't attend, choosing instead to spend the night at the dojo sparring with Mia under Mr. Han's watchful eye. She heard later that Ethan and Kay broke up that night, his guilt over the prank driving a wedge between them. Kale's clique fractured, her influence waning as graduation loomed. Leia didn't care. She was focused on the tournament. Their sketchbooks now filled with drawings of herself in a Taekwondo uniform standing on a podium, a medal around her neck. The tournament was a blur of nerves and adrenaline. The Dayton Convention Center was packed, the air thick with the shouts of competitors and the cheers of the crowd. Leia's first match was against a girl from Cincinnati. Tall and fast, she was shaking as she stepped onto the mat, but Mr. Han's voice echoed in her head. Breath, focus, fight. Leia won. Roundhouse kick landing clean, the crowd roaring. Kay was there in the stands, her face sour as Leia advanced. Leia didn't glance her way. She was fighting for herself now, not for revenge. After match, Leia pushed forward, her body moving with a grace and power she had forgotten she had. In the final round, she faced a black belt from Toledo, a girl with years more experience. The fight was brutal, each point hard won. Leia's legs burned, her lungs ached, but she didn't back down. With seconds left, spun into a roundhouse kick, her foot connecting with her opponent's chest. The buzzer sounded it. She'd won. The crowd erupted, Mia screaming from the sideline. Han hugged her, his eyes shining. "That's my girl," he said. Leela stood on the podium, a gold medal heavier on her neck. She wasn't just that girl who kicked Kay in the gym. She was Leela Grayson, warrior, artist, survivor. Graduation came a week later, and Leela walked across the stage with honors, her sketchbooks tucked under her arm, her future wide open. She'd applied to an art school in Columbus with a Taekwondo schoolyard to keep her training. Shy girl was gone, replaced by someone who knew her worth. K viewers, were you watching this epic story from? Drop your city or state in the comments. Let's see how far Leela's kick has traveled across the USA.